There's something hardly anyone talks about, yet it affects millions of women in silence. That moment when sex stops feeling like pleasure and starts to feel like a chore. You don't say it, you don't tell anyone, but you feel it. Dryness, pain, zero desire. And part of you wonders if this is how it's going to be from now on. If that thing that once made you feel alive, wanted, connected, is gone forever. And the worst part isn't the symptom, it's the silence. Because sometimes even you don't understand what's going on. You just know something's changed. And you ask yourself if it's your fault. But no, it's not your fault. What you're going through has a name, it has a cause, and yes, it has a solution. Vaginal dryness, discomfort during sex, lack of desire, these aren't the end of your intimate life. They're signs. Signs that your body is entering a new phase. A phase no one prepared you for, one that many of us lived through as if it was something to be ashamed of. But it's not. It's part of being a woman. And you are not broken. You are not alone. You are not finished. You just need to get to know your body in a new way, to listen to it without judging it, and to give it what it truly needs, not what society has told us it should need. Let's start with the dryness. Did you know that from perimenopause onwards, estrogen levels start to drop naturally, and that directly affects lubrication? It's not that you're no longer aroused, it's that your body needs more time, more help, more gentleness. But here's the problem. So many women feel ashamed of using lubricants or vaginal moisturizers, as if it's cheating, as if needing support means you've failed. But it doesn't. It's intelligence. It's self-care. It's sexual maturity. A good lubricant isn't a crutch. It's a bridge to pleasure without pain, to sex that doesn't sting, doesn't irritate, doesn't leave you frustrated. And if you also use regular use vaginal moisturizers, the kind meant for daily care, not just the moment, you'll start to see real change, because it's not just about lubrication, it's about care. And we can't just talk about the body, let's talk about desire. Because many times the lack of it isn't just hormonal, it comes from exhaustion, from stress, from emotional disconnection, from years of carrying the world on your shoulders and putting everything ahead of your own pleasure. How are you supposed to feel desire when you barely have the mental space to breathe? It's not that your desire is gone, it's that desire needs to be nourished. And it's not nourished through pressure or guilt. It's fed with time, tenderness, a sense of safety. And something we rarely mention, novelty. Yes, even after years in a relationship, even if you're on your own, your desire needs to be surprised, not with grand gestures, but with small things that break the routine. Because the body changes, yes, but it can also be re-educated. It can learn new paths to pleasure, new ways of being turned on, new speeds, new rhythms, new languages. And speaking of language, how do you talk to yourself about your sexuality these days? Because that matters more than you might think. Many women have internalized the idea that after a certain age, sex just isn't that important, that you should accept it with resignation, that phase is over. But who decided that? Where's it written that pleasure has an expiry date? In fact, I'll tell you something that maybe no one has ever said to you. Many women start enjoying sex more after 50 because they're no longer focused on pleasing others. Because they finally dare to ask for what they need. Because they discover their body doesn't need to be perfect to feel real pleasure. It just needs to be listened to. Of course, there are obstacles. One of them is pain. Not emotional pain, but physical pain. That burning, that sensation that something's not right, that discomfort that leaves you in tears when all you wanted was to enjoy yourself. And many don't speak about it out of shame or because they think it's normal, but it's not. And you don't have to put up with it. There are real solutions, from low-dose local vaginal hormone therapies, which work in the area without affecting the rest of the body, to dilators, pelvic floor physiotherapy, deep breathing exercises that help relax the inner muscles. It's not magic, it's medicine, it's science, and it's there for you. All you need is to ask the right question. And now comes the most important part, permission. Permission to give yourself another chance, to look at your body without judgment, to touch yourself again without fear, without rush, without an end goal. Because so often we want desire to come back now like flipping a switch. But desire isn't like that, it's a flame. And when it's been out for a long time, it needs to be rekindled gently. With patience, with presence, with no one else's expectations. And when we talk about rekindling that flame, it's not always about the other person. Sometimes, the first step is with yourself. Exploring your body again with no expectations, no scripts imposed on you, discovering how your sensitivity has changed, where you feel the most, what soothes you, what ignites you. And for many women, that starts in the most honest solitude, when you allow yourself to touch without thinking about outcomes, without comparing yourself to who you used to be, because it's not about recovering your former self. It's about creating a new one who knows what she wants, who dares to ask for it, who doesn't need to explain herself. For many, the biggest obstacle isn't the body, it's the mind. That little voice that keeps telling you you shouldn't feel like this, that you're past all that it's silly to even try. But that voice lies. That voice is filled with years of messages that taught us to disconnect from our desire, to see it as something adolescent, fleeting, even dangerous. And now, when you need it most, that voice stands in your way. That's why changing your internal dialogue is so crucial. Speaking to yourself with kindness, reminding yourself that pleasure isn't a luxury, it's part of your health, your balance, your right as a woman. And if you're in a relationship, this journey doesn't have to be a lonely one. Quite the opposite. Sharing what you're feeling can be deeply liberating. Saying honestly, I need a different pace, I need more time, I need less pressure. Sometimes your partner feels just as lost. And when you open that door with honesty, no guilt, no blame, something new can appear. Something more real, more grounded, more human. Because sex isn't just what happens between your legs. It's what happens between two people who look at each other without masks. And yes, your partner might not understand it right away. There might be awkwardness, silence, clumsiness. But if the connection is real, if there is love, that moment of discomfort can become a turning point, a new beginning, where pleasure stops being a rushed goal and becomes a shared experience, where the body isn't forced, it's listened to, where there's no fear of failing because the only real failure is staying silent. And if you're not in a relationship, this process is also a powerful opportunity, because often, when there's no one else in the picture, a vast space opens up to reconnect with yourself, to realize that your sexuality doesn't depend on anyone else, that you can enjoy pleasure again without having to justify it, without having to negotiate it, without waiting for someone else to give it to you. That moment when you realize that you can awaken your own desire, care for your own body, create your own rituals of pleasure, that moment can be one of the most liberating of your entire life. The dryness, the pain, the lack of drive, they're real, yes, but so are the solutions. And the most powerful thing is that many of those solutions begin with a shift in perspective, with stopping the fight against your body and learning to accompany it, with no longer demanding what it used to give, but instead celebrating what it now offers, because the new isn't less, it's different. And often it's deeper, more honest, more connected. So if today you feel like your desire is asleep, don't assume it's gone for good. It's still there, waiting for you to see it without judgment, waiting for you to call it by its name, waiting for you to treat it with the respect it deserves. And that respect starts by listening to your needs, by speaking about what hurts, by seeking help without shame, and by giving yourself time. Because yes, it might take a while to find that new rhythm, but when you do, you'll see it wasn't sex that had died. It was your right to feel alive that needed to be reignited. And you don't have to fix everything today. Just take one first step. Maybe talk about it. Maybe try something new. Maybe stop comparing things to how they used to be. What matters is that you know you're not alone. You're not broken. You're not done. You're in transition. And that transition, if embraced with compassion, can lead you to a kind of pleasure that is wiser, freer, and more truly yours than ever before. Because deep down, the big secret isn't how to have sex like you used to. The real secret is how to discover pleasure that fits the woman you are today. And that, believe me, is far more powerful.